Hello and welcome back. In this episode of Inside Boxing's Throwdown, we're going to talk about our amateurs in the United States. I'm Aurelio Martinez and this is Steve Johnson. Now Steve, we're getting down to the nitty gritty now on a whole lot of things going on with the amateur scene in the United States. The qualifiers are moving on. We've got one outstanding boxer that won and advanced in Venezuela. So let's just get right on it.
Well, let's talk about just what happened last week. We had the 2015 AMBC World Championships held in Venezuela. United States, Team USA sent 10 boxers, and unfortunately, we only had one qualified, moving on to the 2015 AIBA Elite Men's World Championships that will be held in Doha, Qatar.
Yep.
And that was little Nico Hernandez, light flyweight. And Nico's from Kansas, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, Nico, actually, everyone knew from the team, all you had to do was make it to the semifinals. If you make it to the semifinals, you're on your way to Qatar.
You're in. Yep.
Okay. And unfortunately, we only had Nico was the only one that did it. Aurelio, I have to say that there's, from everything that I could understand, from all different avenues, okay, is that the judging was a little suspect, okay, but I'm not going to give too much credence to that because we already know how it goes in the home countries. We had three of our boxers that were in the quarterfinals boxing against Venezuelan kids, and they lost. Okay. You can take that whatever way you want to, but the bottom line, the United States only had Nico Hernandez to qualify. Let me tell you.
I'm not going to validate that.
Well, first of all, let me tell you who went, just so everyone, because we want to give these guys credit, because no matter what, they worked their asses off to be able to get on that team that was headed over to Venezuela.
Yeah.
But okay, we start off where we had, like I said, in light flyweight, where we had Nico Hernandez. Flyweight, we had Brent Venegas. Bantamweight, Francisco Martinez. Lightweight, we had Carlos Balderas Jr. Light welterweight, we had Tyreek Irby. Welterweight, Brian Caballo. Light heavyweight, Steven Nelson. Heavyweight, Joshua Temple. And super heavyweight, Cam F. Awesome. These guys all worked hard, and like I said, I know you're going to get ready to crack, but I'm just going to give them credit for making the team and heading over there to Venezuela.
I'm not going to crack so much on the boxers themselves, because they do work hard. Okay. They work hard, they train hard, and all that. I'm just saying that I'm not going to validate what you were leading to as far as the scoring and the judging, because amateur scoring here in the United States is pathetic anyway. Okay, and it's not because any individual or any official or anything is at fault, or I'm not going to go and say what they're just fudging and they're cheating or whatever you want to call it for their favorites or anything like that. The names that we keep hearing. What I'm saying is, and I've said this before, is they're having a hard time comprehending the 10-point must system. Okay, it's a big change from what amateur scoring used to be for the past 3 decades. Mm-hmm. Where you were just counting punches, where you had clickers and you were counting punches, and they tried different methods, but it all revolved around counting punches. Okay, you didn't have to score skill. You didn't have to score talent. You didn't have to score anything that's required to score on the 10-point must system. Now, 10-point must system is very similar to the professional style of scoring. Actually,
mm-hmm.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, as a judge, you have to be knowledgeable in the sport of boxing to be able to determine the skill, the ring generalship. Most people don't even know what ring generalship is. Mm-hmm. And I'm not fouling them, because that's not a requirement that they had to have before to become a judge in amateur boxing mm-hmm. here in the United States. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is that transition, it's not going to happen in 1 year, and it's not going to happen in 2 years, because I'm going back to saying anybody could be a judge, a judge in the past, because all the training you had to need to know was to count punches. If they hit solid with the face of the glove, mm-hmm. you counted a punch. Mm-hmm. And you counted a punch. If the referee gives a standing 8 count, it counts as 1 point as a punch. Very simple. So you didn't have to have any extensive training to be a judge. I mean, all you had to do was get into the system and know how to count punches. Well, now that they went to the 10-point system, these same judges are still judges. Okay, but now you're asking them to take 7, 6, or 7 categories and to judge a fight. Okay, not only punch count, significance of a punch, ring generalship, emphasis on if a punch is a good punch, if it's a pity pat punch. Now you got to do this movement in the ring, head movement, slipping, ring generalship, which is all ring generalship. And Steve, they just don't know. They have to learn. They have to learn this, and it's going to take some time to learn that. So as the judges start to learn this way of scoring, the scoring is going to get better. So I'm not sure if the scoring in Venezuela or any other country was like you say, fudging for their fighters or against United States fighters. No. What I'm saying is it could be that the judging was actually a 10-point must system. It could have been that it was a fair judging. I don't know.
Let me say this to you. I wasn't there. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But I will tell you this. That, like I said, it wasn't just pro-United States. It was from different entities that I heard this from. You made a valid point about the scoring, and we know we have that same problem here in the professional ranks.
Yeah.
When the fight is in one of the fighter's backyard. Every time a fighter is in his backyard, he throws a punch, whether he hits or not. Ooh.
Sure.
Okay. That's why it's a good point. Well, wait a minute. It's a good point you made about these people have yet to be acclimated to the scoring system.
Yes.
Because they've got to be able to block that out
Absolutely.
and still watch it. I'm saying that the opinion of a lot of people from around the world were that it wasn't just the United States, it was from around the world, is that the inconsistency in the scoring is so prevalent that it has a lot of people doubting whether they're going to get a fair shake.
Well, see, so then this problem may be worldwide.
It's worldwide, but I can tell you this:
Okay.
when they go to Qatar,
Yeah.
you're not going to have that problem because there's no hometown from Qatar.
Yeah, but if the judges are still not trained for the 10-point must system, you still have the same problem.
Well,
if they're sitting there just merely counting punches, you have the same problem.
And I don't think that's
but
necessarily the case. And like you said, we don't know because we're not there to observe them.
Yeah.
All I can do is tell you that, like I said, the general consensus from around the world is that the inconsistency amongst the scoring has a lot to do with the setting. Okay, this was in Venezuela. If you have
and that's true in any boxing,
that's
professional or anything. It's true.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to take anything from for that, but it was rough because we had 3 USA boxers in the quarterfinals. Where if they win, they're automatically headed to Qatar.
Yeah.
The Venezuelan kids win and they're out. So now they got a tough road to go. They still got to get going, but we'll see what happens. But this is all building up to Rio de Janeiro in 2016 for the Olympics.
Let's
I
talk
can't wait
about
to
that.
radio because right now we have only 2 more qualifiers. One for the women in Baltimore.
Yes.
And then for the men down in Nashville, Tennessee. At the same time in Nashville, the women are having their Olympic trials. And then the men will have their Olympic trials in Philadelphia in December.
The final
That's right.
qualifying.
No, in December.
In December, it's the actual
The
men's.
trials. The trials.
So the way it works is in September, they had to split up this next qualifier because of headgear issues or whatever the case may have been. But they had to split up the men's and the women's. So the women's are going to remain in Baltimore, Maryland, as scheduled. But they had to take the men's qualifier. No, they're going to Philadelphia. Okay, so then we're going to be the qualifiers. Okay, but they're on at the same week. They just had to split them because of some legalities that came up, but they split them. And then, like you say, yes, and then the next one will be the final men's qualifying for the Olympic trials.
That'll be in Nashville.
Which will be in Nashville.
And that weekend, that's when the women's have their Olympic trials.
At the same time,
Right,
yes,
right.
yes. And then the men's trials, of course, like you said, will be in December.
Yeah, and we don't know what's going on with that
Yeah,
exactly yet. But that's just giving you guys an update a little bit. I know it's getting confusing, and we'll get it all dialed in exactly where Team USA is going to be. But it's right now, to be honest, it's a tough road to hoe.
Well, we're getting, we're going to end this segment. I'm just, Steve, like I said months ago when we talked about amateur, I'm still really concerned, and I feel for the United States because we're not sending the best team out there. There's been a lot of confusion in amateur boxing for the past couple of years, more so than in the past decade, where we haven't been able to do anything. When I say we, I'm talking about the United States of America. We haven't been able to accomplish and become a dominant force in Olympic competition. But these past 2 years, it's kind of even been kind of like a hayride, kind of like an up and down spectrum where you got the
You mean like a roller coaster?
like a roller coaster.
Because a hayride, I ain't never seen an up and down hayride.
It depends how fast. It depends how fast that horse is moving. Okay, if that moving hits that bump, then you're in Lucy Jim. But anyway, I don't see us sending the best possible American boxers to the Olympic. As a matter of fact, this very well could be one of the worst teams, and that's saying a lot.
No, you said way too much. I'll tell you
Yeah,
what we're gonna do,
so-
folks. We're gonna end this episode, but I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. You heard what Aurelio Martinez just said. I'm challenging him to come up with his own list of American boxers that should be going to represent the United States. That'll put your feet to the fire. Since you already know, you're on record saying that this isn't the best, so I'm gonna have you make your own team up of who's gonna go. I'm not gonna let him say anything else because we're gonna end this.
And I'll take that. I'll take that. I'm not going to give you names, but I'll explain exactly what I'm talking about. So
good.
Come back and watch us on our next week's show, where we'll continue the process and we'll bring boxing to you the way we see it. Okay?
And then before we go, one other thing. Like Aurelio has already alluded to, we thank all you guys for continuing to follow us and support us. And the emails that about the show are all very supportive. And like we said, we don't have earpieces in our ears to give us directions, to tell us what to do, give us any stats, things other than what we have on paper in front of us. The rest is just from us watching boxing and talking about boxing the way we see it. So, on that note, Aurelio.
All right. We'll see you next week. Until then, keep them hands up,
baby.